What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Dead by Daylight. I thought this would be a fun Sunday topic, a Halloween slash, horror, scary topic for October, but talk about, how and why Dead by Daylight has survived and kind of been around as long as it has. Look, I'll say it, flat out just to make sure everybody's kind of aware. Well, two things. Number one, big fan of Dead by Daylight. Huge fan. Now, I didn't play it when it first came out, but I played it, I feel like I played it back in late 2017 was when I first started playing the game. Now, I haven't played the game in actually quite a while now, but I watched people play it. I keep up on the killers. I keep up on the map, stuff like that. But I played it for probably in like a 2-year stretch. I played it a lot. It was probably my most played game in that 2-year stretch. And there's a lot of memories with that game. We can talk about that another time, but just so people know. Secondly, I'm not a fan of live service games, of games that want to be around for like 30 years. Generally, I'm not a fan, and generally, most games that want that don't do it all that well, okay? With that being all said, Dead by Daylight is, again, one of the best examples, maybe Rocket League would be another one, of games that have stayed around forever, what seems like forever, but done it in the best way possible. You know what I mean? It doesn't get flooded with like pay to win stuff or microtransactions, or they just know how to keep people, and also doesn't die. It's not like, I guess this is gonna make people mad, it's not like, say, Marvel's Avengers or other games. Actually, For Honor was an example of a game that it starts out huge, then it goes basically to zero. There's obviously people playing it, but it drops, and then it peaks whenever there's additions. So For Honor, whenever there are new characters. Avengers, when there's new Avengers, there'd be a peak. It would never be as high as the first couple days, but it would go up. And then as soon as people got the excitement from the the new thing, they left it again. Dead by Daylight, to me, is not like any of those. Dead by Daylight is a game that is consistently high. Now, we don't know the console players daily. There are sites that try to figure it out, but technically, there is no way of knowing for sure how many people are playing at any given time on consoles. Steam is obviously a lot easier to look at, and you can look at Steam numbers, and Dead by Daylight just always does really good, even in the off season, right? Off seasons between, the killers and survivors coming out. Dead by Daylight just does phenomenal. And again, I think and it's lasted almost, 5+ years. So, there's a couple of reasons I think why. Number one, the gameplay loop is just solid. I don't think it's the greatest thing of all time, but you know what? That could be argued because it's simplistic and yet it's complicated, right? Literally, you go into a map, you fix generators, the same number for all map, and it's the same goal for every single map, every single match you ever play. You fix generators. You stand there and you repair them. Now, there's quick time events in a way, like skill checks almost, and then you escape. That's the goal. Very simplistic, but it's also got its intricacies. The killers are all and I think that's a big reason. You know what I mean? The killers are all very different. They all have their own play style. Whenever you're going into a match that you're going to have to not just combat the killer, if you go in and you face, Pinhead basically, or the Cenobite, you're gonna have to play a certain way. You face Ghostface, you face, the Pig, like you face anyone, right? You're gonna go in and you're gonna have to strategize a slightly different way, even though you're generally doing the exact same thing every time. But again, that's that incredible and incredibly smart loop that they created. I don't even know if they planned on it, surviving as long as it has, but just that loop that just works so well. And then again, I guess there's that extra benefit that you're not just playing as the survivors, right? You can play as the killers as well, and you can experience that. Now, it's maybe not as fleshed out for each killer as, say, when you play Friday the 13th. Like, Jason is a lot more fleshed out in that than he ever would be if he was in, Dead by Daylight. Same thing for, like, Predator, right? The Predator game. Now, again, you can debate on which game's better. I think Dead by Daylight is easily better than both those games, in just my opinion. But that's pretty much it. Different maps. You get to experience different things. And obviously, I think having these licensed killers, these licensed properties, so you can have the survivors they rarely play around with. One of my biggest gripes with Dead by Daylight is, like, you do Ghostface, but you don't do Sidney Prescott. That's a sin. And again, actually, at the same time, like, none of them are really named by I don't remember Ghostface's name, but, like, it's not named Ghostface, right? So they're all not actually their names, even though they're very clearly using them, and they get the license for them and all that stuff, but they don't call them by their name. But I think just that repetitive loop of the gameplay being really solid, it being simplistic enough for really anybody to jump in, it being like you just know where you're at because you know these killers, you know the area, all of that, and then just being consistent. Now, I'll be honest, over the last couple of years, when they've added some more like story elements or some like challenges in it where like you have to find like glyphs and stuff like that, I've never been hyped up about that. I've never really been supportive of that stuff. I really don't care. But see, that's the thing. I actually think that's also what kind of makes it special is they can add kind of mini things in the game, nothing too crazy that changes it. And, if you're looking for an extra challenge or you're looking for just something a little bit more than the normal repetitive stuff, and again, not repetitive in a bad way, you have that. But if you're, say, someone like me, like I don't care about that stuff. But it shows that they're like trying actively to grow their game. You know what I mean? Like the game's growing. And again, consistency I also think is key. One of my most, I guess, or one of the biggest gripes I've had, and this is a different genre entirely, of episodic games generally is their release schedules are god-awful. Now, Dead by Daylight does not have, like, the second month, like every other month, on this Tuesday, there's going to be a new killer. They don't go that specific, but you can pretty much guarantee you're going to get killers every 3 to 4 months, right? That's probably fair. That's general, and they have roadmaps. They're pretty solid in I guess, relative to roadmaps, which I hate roadmaps for the most part because most times they never get followed or they're not specific enough or developers just drop them altogether. Dead by Daylight's roadmaps are pretty good, but they're consistent. That's another thing. It's if you want to have a game like this, you know what I mean? They easily could have done this game and then just not support it and just seen how long it'll last. You know what I mean? And it wouldn't last long. I do think the game, again, all the stuff with the gameplay and the setting and the characters they already have, like that'll keep it around for a while. But if we know, say tomorrow they announce like, hey, we're done. We're done. We're going to work on maybe a second game, or we're going to work on, and they have worked on other things. So they're actually a pretty big team. But they say, you know what, we're done with the support for Dead by Daylight. No more killers, no more survivors. The game will only last so long after those words come out. You know what I mean? So, I mean, again, factually, another thing that happens, or another reason why this game has lasted, is they are very consistent. I mean, you look at the game, and again, I didn't get the game at launch, but you look at the game at launch, and I mean, the killers, they're good. The original killers they had at launch, I think, were actually really solid, and they still hold up, most of them, to this day. But what they've managed to do since then, just adding and adding and adding, you constantly feel like you're getting something. And, you need to buy them. Like, that's how they make their money, right? Most of them you have to purchase them, and I have purchased several of them, but you don't have to. You know what I mean? You have to play as them, but, like, you can go against, Hellraiser. You can do that, but not buy it, for, like, the $7 or whatever that is. Like, so that is important. You know what I mean? It's not locking you out to that stuff in terms of experiencing it, like, facing it, but it does lock you out of playing as it. But again, that's the money aspect. That's the reason why they as a company have survived and are allowed to continue to do it. So it's incredible. This it really is. And again, like I said in the beginning, no like predatory microtransactions. There's no way of like paying to win. You know what I mean? Like perks and items that you bring in, they can only get you so far. Like if you're terrible, they can only get you so far. Or if the killer is really good, they can, you know what I mean? So there's really no way to game the system. You're paying simply for the killers, the survivors. Now, again, there's like cosmetics and stuff. Again, I don't even go into that stuff. I don't even know how some of that stuff works because I truly just do not pay attention to it because I do not care. But I think this game is one of the better examples of a game that not only has survived one of the longest, like when you look at, I mean, Fortnite obviously is going to survive forever. Apex Legends is doing good. Like you have games, Rocket League again is a good example I love Rocket League and that's stayed around forever. Like you do have games, but it's really a very small percentage of games that survive, let's say more than like 2 years. Like you should get a medal just by doing that, let alone Dead by Daylight, which is going on what, 4 or 5 plus years. So like that's incredible. And to match that with it not being like Fortnite, which is basically for 5-year-olds, no offense to people that are, truly no offense, but it's aimed for kids. And then you have the other side of games that are very predatory, right? You have to pay constantly for this stuff, or it's just not fun anymore, or you can't get these things, I would say Dead by Daylight is on the good side of all of that stuff. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you play Dead by Daylight? Let me know your thoughts. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on so you know all these videos go up. I do a brand new video on the channel every single day, and so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.